Good morning. This is Captain Terry Hestilow, United States Army, retired. Uh, it's dark 30, 0040 hours, 14 June 2016. And there's one other issue that I wanted to discuss. Some of you may know that I had addressed two other issues earlier today on another post. I hope you'll go look for them. But there's another issue that I want you to be aware of. This past week, the Commanding General at Fort Riley, Kansas, canceled the annual prayer breakfast. This is something that we have done on Army posts for years and years and years and years, decades. We've had prayer breakfast, and at this particular on this particular date, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, one of the heroes of the Delta Force system, one of the early officers in Delta Force, as it's currently understood, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, a Christian officer, retired, was scheduled to address the prayer breakfast. It was a Christian event, but it was suddenly canceled by the Commanding General of Fort Riley. I wrote about it. You can find it on my Twitter page because I talk about it. I talk about writing to your congressman and demanding an answer from them. Listen, let's be honest. We got a situation now where in the United States of America, many of the generals under Obama, they've soldiered all of their lives trying to reach a certain level, and I can't blame them for wanting to do what they can, and there's a certain element of seeking to be in this difficult time of leadership, the kind of leader that one needs to be to protect the troops from bad leadership that's even higher than them. There comes a time when you just have to put your foot down and say, no, I'm not going to do it. What happened in this particular case was, of course, Lieutenant General Boykin is well known by the atheist community and the community that hates Christianity and is trying to stop Christianity from being practiced in this country. And then there's one particular organization. It's called the Military Freedom from Religion Foundation. It's headed up by this little weasel that's always threatening, like the ACLU. He's always threatening. Anytime somebody's going to have a prayer breakfast or there's going to be a cross erected somewhere, you can't have that. Can't have that. Let me tell you something. We have a system whereby our military has to have chaplains. We've had chaplains since the Revolutionary War because troopers have to be able to practice their faith. Troopers, Marines, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, they have to be able to practice their faith where they serve. They can't practice their faith back home because they're not at home. And so we've always had chaplains and we've always had chapels on military reservations. And it is a violation of the constitutional rights of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines and Coast Guardsmen when they are denied the ability to practice their faith, and certainly for political reasons. And so we got this guy, Mikey Weinstein. He is a sad little man. He fears Christianity. He's I talked about phobias in the earlier tape. He's a Christophobe because we don't find that Mikey Weinstein does the same thing anytime. Say for instance, if there was going to be some Muslim or Islamic worship service, he doesn't try to stop that. No, but he wants the generals to run around boarding up the chapels. That's what he wants to do. He wants to stop people from being able to practice their Christian faith. Now, I know Democrats have tried to ban the use of the word God in their Democratic National Convention. In fact, they celebrated the expulsion of the use of the word God in their DNC last time on their platform. And we know that the atheists recognize that if they can overthrow any exercise of Christian faith and indoctrinate people in the military to think that it's somehow or the other wrong to practice their Christian faith. No, not Islamic faith, not anything else, not to worship as Baha'i or a Hindu or none of Buddhist. The thing that they hate and they fear more than anything else, and fear for good reason, is Christianity. And they fear Christianity because the fact of the matter is, without Christ, they have damned themselves to hell. Mikey Weinstein will spend eternity in hell, and that's something that he's trying desperately to find some way to, like the adversary, like Lucifer, to find a way to bend God, get God to bend His justice. He's just living in denial. But the thing is, he wants to deny all of the servicemen and women the right to practice their faith. And so last week, the prayer breakfast was canceled. Now, I'd like to see Mikey Weinstein do the same thing whenever Muslims get together. I'd like to see him rail against Ramadan. Let's see what would happen to him. He knows what would happen to him because the Muslims wouldn't put up with it. But he knows that Christians, we seek the best. We seek to find peaceful ways to resolve our differences. But Mikey Weinstein and his organization has set about to destroy the practice of Christian faith in the armed services. You need to know that. And maybe you're not a Christian, and I know a lot of people are not Christians. But you really, if you believe in the Constitution at all, have to recognize that this country was always founded on freedom to practice our religious faith. And we should not discriminate against our Christian service members around the world or at home in our installations here in the United States, that they cannot practice their faith. They cannot have prayer breakfast. They cannot hear the Word of God preached. So let's make sure that our congressmen and our senators are made aware of what's going on, and set this little pipsqueak straight and say, listen, go ahead, try it. Just sue the United States Army, sue the Department of Defense. Let's just see how far your little charade goes. But if you don't do the same thing with the Muslims, then you don't have a leg to stand on. If you won't stand up to the Muslims the way that you threaten Christians, then you're nothing but a little stinking coward. So let's get the boards torn off the doors of the chapels on our military reservations. Let's let our service members worship God. This is Captain Terry Hestilow, United States Army, retired.